So I have a question to ask all of you watching this, and this question is a good predictor of whether you'll become a successful entrepreneur or have a successful business in the future. Here's the question. Are you willing to have 2 years of your life where you are unhappy, you have no time, you cannot see your girlfriend or boyfriend, husband, wife, kids, or whatever, you're working 24/7, you're unhappy, you're stressed out, you cannot watch TV anymore, you cannot play video games anymore, you don't have any hobbies anymore, and you are just working all the time? Are you willing to have 2 years of pain if it greatly increased your chances of having your business become a success? Think about this for a second. I know a lot of you are like, yeah, of course I would do that. Of course I would do that. But here's the deal. Most people will say yes. 90% of people will say yes to that. However, the answer secretly for most of you watching this is no. Most people will try and start a business, and they will find it's too stressful. They cannot have that insecurity, that instability, and they will give up. This is what separates a lot of successful people, successful entrepreneurs, from the ones that aren't successful. It's having these 2 years, going through these 2 years. Because I'll tell you what, here's why I want to talk about this today, is because I've been starting online businesses for 4 years, essentially 4 years now, 3.5 years maybe. But I've started my successful ones about 2 years ago, or maybe a little bit over 2 years, under 2 years for some of them. I started this YouTube channel actually about 1 year and 2 months ago. I think last year in March was my first video, I think, and I've had hundreds of videos. Wow, I've been pumping out a lot lately. But here's the deal, is that I want to talk about this because my life in the last 2 years, people think that it's just been gravy since my businesses all took off, right? But it hasn't been like that. When everything started taking off, last year, that was great. But here's the deal. The year before that, the first 2 years of any business, here it is. First 2 years of any business, whether it's online, bricks and mortar, whatever, this sucks. This absolutely sucks. I mean, I'll tell you the story. About a year ago, I was making money self-employed. I was just fine. I was fully supporting myself while being self-employed. Okay? This is last year, 8 months ago, somewhere around there. But I was just barely getting by, though. All right? And I remember this one time where my girlfriend, we've been dating for about 1.5 years right now. So actually around the same time I started this YouTube channel, I think. So I remember that there was this one time where I had a few $100s in my bank account, but I needed that for living expenses. And so me and my girlfriend live in different cities. We live in completely different cities, and so I have to go drive out to see her. She doesn't have a car, so I have to go drive out to see her if I want to see her. But last year, I can't even believe this, I couldn't pay for gas. I couldn't afford, theoretically I could. I had a few $100s in my bank account, but I didn't want to get down too low, right? And so I couldn't afford some weekends to go see her. I did not have enough money to pay for gas to see my girlfriend at the time. How crazy is that? That's just a year ago, guys. That's just a year ago. And now, I can easily pay for a vacation anywhere in the world if we wanted to, and have a great vacation if we really wanted to. Now, we're probably going to take about a week off. That's a whole different story. I want to get into that. But in 1 year, you can transform your life. It's funny. So people think that all entrepreneurs are just because you start to hear them and they take off in a span of a year and your business takes off, people think that they're an overnight success. They got lucky, right? They got lucky. But the deal is that an overnight success usually takes a few years. And that is the god darn truth. I'll tell you what, 2 years ago, so I've had some really close friends for about 8 years, about 9 years since first year of high school. And I remember about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was telling them man, I'm working all the time. I'm starting all these businesses. Most of them are online. Doing all this consulting work, and I wasn't making any money at the time. I was literally making $50, $50 a week sometimes. Now, I had another job to support myself, but this was on the side. I was making $50 a week. And then they're like, why are you doing this? You're putting in so much time and effort into this. Why? Just go. You could be a doctor right now. You could go to medical school if you really want to. That's what you wanted to do 5 years ago. Why aren't you doing that? And then the next year goes by. I worked really hard every day for the following year. I go meet up with them again. I say, hey, I'm supporting myself now, right? I'm barely getting by. That's very low income, but I'm supporting myself. And it's a side business with it. It wasn't necessarily my main business. I was still working for someone else, but it was I was supporting myself with it. And then they're like, okay, well, still, why are you doing this? I mean, you could be making 200 grand as a doctor if you really wanted to do that. You had a corporate job. You can keep going towards that and make 70 grand a year right now if you really wanted to. Okay. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to keep going through this life of not knowing where my next paycheck's coming from, essentially, right? Although I was kind of making it. I was doing some consulting work mainly at the time. It's a long story, actually, that. But anyways, so the next year goes by, I meet up with them again, recently. Like literally about a month ago. I hate the word literally, why did I say that? But like a month ago or 2 months ago, and I walk in, I've had a lot of success in the past 8-12 months or so. Tons. Everything took off at the same time and everything's been great. Especially, even on YouTube. Everything's been going great here too. But I remember meeting up with them. And then they were talking about this. So, how are all your businesses doing, right? How are all of them doing? Well, coincidentally, the day before, I'd made $1,000 in a day. The day before, in one day. And I'm at the point now where I'm doing better than anyone else my age, anyone in my graduating class, anyone in any of my high school graduation classes, university classes, better than all of the people in my peers in terms of, monetary, doing what you want to do, being your own boss. I mean, I'm doing very, very well. But here's the deal is that they thought I was lucky. But here's the deal is that I went through 2 years of crap, 2 years of them saying, why are you doing this? Why are you going through all this crap? I mean, they were making $20 an hour. They're like, hey, why don't you come work with us? Very nice of them. Not doing that. I have my own goals. I went through 2 years of crap. Just like, who made a video on this recently? I think it was, what made me think about this, like I started my own business, all these businesses 2 years ago, but who made me really think about this was Patrick Bet David. He was talking about this. The first 2 years suck. And they really sucked for me. I couldn't pay for gas. I couldn't even pay for dates. It was terrible. Are you guys willing to go through that? Because most people aren't. If you're willing to go through a couple years, I know it's a Dave Ramsey quote, it's a conservative quote. And this is like the millionaire next door, which, some of which I agree with, some of which I don't. But, they say, I think, what's the saying? It's live like others won't right now so you can live like they can't in the future. And that's seriously, though, what you have to do if you're running a business specifically. I mean, you gotta essentially be 2 years of living like crap before you become successful. Now, there are shortcuts to this. I mean, if you have mentors, you've educated yourself a lot, you can accelerate this. I mean, this was like a year and a half for me before I started getting comfortable. And so I was able to accelerate that 6 months. And by just learning and reading and knowing how to run businesses and going through a bunch of failures and restarting and all that stuff. But are you guys willing to do that? Are you guys willing to go through those 2 years? Most people aren't. And so I'm kind of at this point right here. So apparently years 2 through 5 this is where like the comfort sets in. You start seeing some sort of success. And this is a great area to be in, by the way, guys. I mean, I've said this in a bunch of my videos before, but it's something really special when you get to wake up every day and be your own boss and have creative control and do whatever the hell you want to do every day and make a lot of money doing it. It's something that it's really hard to describe the mindset that you have. It's fantastic. And usually, and when the money starts coming in, I mean, I had all that stuff here, except the money wasn't coming in. So I was still stressed out. Now here's the stress has gone down. I'm not able to afford a big mansion right now, okay? I've talked about that in like every video. I can't buy a big mansion, a massive house right now. I'm still too young for that. Business is still too new. Governments don't trust me in terms of mortgages. Banks don't trust me. Haven't been doing this long enough. So, I'm in the comfort zone right here. But here, years 5 through 10 here. Years 5 through 10, this is where your dreams happen. So I guess the other question I want to ask you guys is, are you willing to go through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years of crap, of partial comfort and crap, if you can live your dream life in 10 years? And you know what? I was talking to someone else actually close to me recently about how I was talking about this. And they've been through this journey with me. I mean, I've talked to them since I've started everything. I was talking about how, you know, I was telling them the story how I actually, the story where I couldn't pay for gas. I was telling them that story, and then they were saying, I could never do that. I could never do that, go through 2 years of crap. And I said, well, what if you go through those 2 years of crap and you come out on the other end happier and more successful than you've ever been and will ever be, and you will have the life you've always wanted? A lot of people, surprisingly, will say no to that, and here's the other deal, is that a lot of people will say yes to that, but secretly their answer is no. Because they'll be like, yeah, I'd totally do that if I could make, for a lot of people, my original goal, I think I've told you guys this, my original goal was if I could make $40,000 a year, self-employed, running my own businesses, I would be super happy. $40,000 a year. And now, I mean, I'm gonna do much more than that this year. Much more than that. But here's the deal, is that like there are a lot of people out there that just aren't willing to sacrifice it. They can't go through the 2 years where they don't have the same lifestyle they have. I mean, the lifestyle I had before at my corporate job, I mean, I was living a good lifestyle making $30 an hour. I was doing okay. And, you know, I could go and have the normal 9-to-5 life. I could pay for a vacation once a year. I could invest a little bit in the stock market. But that's not the dream life. If you're watching this, I can guarantee you are along the same lines as I am right now. If you're a subscriber, or if you're just some random person not subscribed, by the way, subscribe to this channel. If you're not subscribed to this, and you're seeing this for the first time, you're still probably along the same lines as me, as you cannot tolerate that 9-to-5 life. You want your dream life. You want, you know, whether it's, you want the big mansion. That's okay if you want material stuff. That's okay. Whatever your motivator is, that is completely fine as long as it's in an ethical way. If you want the big mansion, fine. If you want, you know, your dream spouse, you want to be successful so you can, you know, have a higher pick of whoever your spouse, guy, girl, whoever, you know, that's a good motivator too. If it's money, you just want money, that's cool. If you want freedom, money gives freedom, that's cool too. If you want control over your life, whatever your motivator is, you got to find it. You got to find it. What is your motivator? So for me, and sometimes it's a lot of those. For me, it's a lot of those. So what is your motivator? And are you willing to go through this crap? Because most people aren't. And it's really sad. And here's, I guess, one of the things I want to talk about last year is that, you know, along this journey, it's a good and bad thing to, like, I'm going to get all relationshipy here, but if you start a relationship, or you're in a relationship right when you start this journey and you're working all the time and you can barely see them and they're putting up with all your stressed outness and they're putting up with you not seeing them all the time, and they stick with you, that's a really good predictor in terms of someone who you might want to consider keeping. You know, so it's now, you know, I said, like, when I started dating my girlfriend, you know, couldn't pay for gas sometimes. And now I don't even have to blink and we can go on vacation anywhere in the world. Now, I don't want to spend that much money on vacation around the world right now. I'm still growing and stuff, but still. It's, whether I end up with this girl or not, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? But if you can find someone when you just start you know, building up your businesses, it's a really good predictor. I mean, Bill Gates, hasn't Bill Gates been with his wife for decades now? Many decades? I mean, he could go and get some, you know, somewhat gold-digging supermodel if he really wanted to. I'm sure that one of them wouldn't mind living his lifestyle. But, I mean, that's something else I was thinking about today. Like, it's important to know who will stick around through the bad times and who will stick around through the good times. So I think that's going to kind of close this video. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about all this? Are you willing to go through 2 years of crap, 5 years of meh, just so that 5 to 10 years down the road, you start living your dream life? I mean, I'm a lot closer now to living, you know, a dream life. I think I've upped this now. I remember I was talking about this a few months ago about how, you know, if I could be a millionaire by the time I'm 30, that'd be great. But now I've upped that. I want to do it by the time I'm 25, 26, somewhere around there. I think it's going to happen. We'll see what happens. And, you know, I think that is going to wrap this video up. I've been talking a little bit too much. This is more of a entrepreneurship video. Not a lot of numbers here. Usually I have not a lot of numbers. But what do you guys think? Are you guys willing to go through 2 years of crap to to become successful, even though there's no guarantee. That's the other thing too. There is no guarantee that you'll become successful. It just increases your probability. It's like having an extra few lottery tickets in your pocket. That's what it is. So thank you very much for watching. Check out, if you liked this video, you're going to like the Wealth Accelerator program link below. So go check that out, Wealth Accelerator. That's in the link below. How many hours of content? I have like 12 hours of content on there. So go check that out. You're all very beautiful people. I'll see you guys in the next video.